Hello students, welcome to Relief Tutorials. How are you all? Okay, to begin with, today we'll be starting with chapter number 8 of grade 10, that is how do organisms reproduce. Now to introduce the chapter or the topic, as you all know that reproduction is one of the important processes that a living organism will be going through. Okay, reproduction is very important because if an organism or if an individual wants to survive or increase their species population, then they need to reproduce, and there are various modes through which reproduction will be taken place. As you can see in the picture, reproduction, I have mentioned here asexual and sexual reproduction. There are basically two types of reproduction. One is asexual and second is sexual, right? And in asexual also there are number of bifurcations, like through budding or through tissue culture or by fertilization also reproduction may take place. Okay, now as you all know that reproduction is one of the process in which individuals will be preparing species or will be producing species of their own type. Here you can see in a picture, here mother cat is there and two small babies. Okay, dog will be producing new species of its own type. Okay, parents will be like mother and father, human beings will give birth to a child. Okay, so it is a process in which living organisms will be producing new individuals of same species. Dog will be producing dog, cat will be giving birth to cat, and human beings to human being. Okay, and this process is very important for survival, for living. Okay, it is quite important to reproduce. Okay, and with help of reproduction there will be increase in the population of species. Okay, this species will increase if they will reproduce, the number of individuals will increase. And if they will not do reproduction, then what will happen? Their population will keep on decreasing. If cats will not reproduce for years and years, then what will happen? There will be a time when there will be no species of cat, and there might be possibility that they may get extinct. Like you know, dinosaurs. Okay, prior there were population of dinosaurs, but now they are extinct because of few reason, or you can say few unfavorable conditions. They might have not got proper breeding or proper reproduction, and we don't have species of dinosaurs anymore. So if organisms do not reproduce, their population decreases and species will become extinct, so they will be not present in the ecosystem. Okay, so reproduction is quite important. Now okay, as you all know that we'll be having chromatin material, we'll be having inherited material from our parents, right? Like, do organisms create same copies, like carbon copies of themselves? Okay, so if you simply see our example, okay, I will be resembling to my parents, but not exactly, I won't be the identical copy of my parents. Okay, I will have few characteristics from my mother, few from my father, because we are combination of both of them, right? So I'll get 50% of chromatin material from my father, 50 from my mother, and the one which will be dominant will be observed in me, right? So we are similar to our parents, but will not be identical, will not be exactly same. Because of few variations, we will be little bit having different characteristics. As you all know that our nucleus, okay, each and every cell will be having nucleus, and that nucleus will be having chromosomes in it, will be having chromatin material, inheritance material from the parents, right? You might have heard DNA, deoxyribonucleic acid. Now this DNA molecules in the chromosome, in the nucleus, is responsible for the transfer of characters from the parents to the offsprings, right? So this DNA will be present where? In chromosomes, in the nucleus. The nucleus is the center house of our cell, right? And which will be transferring the characters from our parents to the offsprings. Clear? Now, during reproduction, what will happen? The reproductive cell will form two carbon copies of DNA, which will separate in two different cells. During cell division, or during, you can say, reproduction, the reproductive cells will be producing two copies, and those two copies will be having protein in it. Okay, and due to the sequence of difference in the sequence of this proteins, there might be some difference in the characteristics of the offsprings. Okay, now this DNA copies will be similar but not identical to each other. Okay, both the DNA copies will not be exactly same, they'll be little bit different from each other. Okay, so the new individuals have slight variations from their parents. Okay, this is the basis for variation and evolution of new species. Not only just the combination of DNA material, but external factors also affects. Okay, like you know that with evolution the species adapt to few things and they might have changes in their body. Okay, like if you remember, if you see this bacteria, okay, there are few bacteria which would be quite favorable, or like which can survive in temperate conditions. Okay, but if due to some environment changes or due to some global warming, if temperature is increasing extreme or it is decreasing, then there might be few copies of bacteria which will die, but the one which can survive will have some variations and it will be carried forward into next generation. Okay, it is told that survival for the fittest. Okay, the one which can survive not only just temperature, you can also say water, or like at times there are meteorite hits. Okay, so because of such environmental changes and evolution, the species would be having variations in their offsprings. Clear? Okay, so what is reproduction and what is variation? I have clearly mentioned here. Production, reproduction of new organisms from the existing organism of the same species. Okay, as we mentioned prior, the production of new organisms would be done from the individual of the same species, and that is known as reproduction. And variations, it is the difference in the structure. It can be physiological difference or any other traits found in an individual of the same species. Clear? Fine. Now, what is the significance of reproduction? There are three major things that you need to remember. Now, why we need reproduction? First is to maintain the continuity of species. Otherwise, what will happen? If they will not reproduce, then they might get extinct. Okay, so for maintenance of continuity of species, they need to reproduce. Okay. Second is for maintenance of population size. Okay, if they will not reproduce, the number of their species will decrease. Now you might have heard about lions in Gir. Okay, prior it was too much, but because of some unfavorable conditions the number was decreasing, and government has started various projects in which they are giving favorable conditions and favorable environment to those lions so that they can breed and their species number can increase. Okay, so why reproduction is needed? For maintenance of population size, so that the number will increase. Okay, and last is for adding variation for evaluation. Otherwise, if they will not variate, then what will happen? In some unfavorable condition or in some environment where they cannot survive, those and that entire species may die. Okay, so because of that, variation is needed. As you all know that these days global warming is quite uh, like increasing. Okay, because of global warming there is a huge adverse effect on the living organisms, and if they will not adapt to such environment, then there would be a possibility that they may die and their species may get extinct. Okay, so need to do some variation, they have to adapt variations. Okay, so these three are the significance of reproduction. Okay, now switching to types of reproduction. Now basically there are two types of reproduction, one is asexual and second is sexual. Okay, there are two main types of reproduction in living organism mentioned here, asexual and sexual. Now what do you mean by asexual reproduction? Now asexual means the one in which only single parent will be required. Okay, it is a reproduction in which new individuals are formed from single parent, and in sexual reproduction it will require two parents. Okay, so it is the reproduction in which two individuals are involved to produce a new individual. Okay, so difference between asexual and sexual. Asexual, it is a type of reproduction in which new individuals, new offsprings will be formed by single parent, And sexual reproduction, it is a reproduction in which new individual will be formed by involvement of two parents. Okay, now we'll study types of asexual reproduction, or basic why asexual reproduction is good or why it is needed. Okay, now basics of asexual reproduction, it is the simplest form of reproduction. Okay, it occurs in plants, simple animals, bacteria and protists. Okay, it requires just one parent, single parent. It is more reliable than sexual reproduction because your involvement of single parent can give rise to new offsprings. Okay, and does not allow for any type of genetic variation. There is no genetic variation because only one parent is there and they'll be forming the offsprings. Clear? Fine. Now types of asexual reproduction. Now asexual reproduction can take place through various modes. Okay, if you see in various unicellular organisms, they will go under various modes of asexual reproduction. First is fission, then second is fragmentation, budding, regeneration, spore formation and vegetative propagation. Okay, so we'll start with first type of asexual reproduction, that is fission. Okay, okay, now fission is an asexual reproduction by which a unicellular organism, now if you take example of unicellular organism, those organisms which are single cell organism, each and every function will be done by one single cell only. Okay, they don't have division of labor. Okay, so single cell organism, you can take a simplest example, that is amoeba. Okay, unicellular organisms divide and forms two or more new individual. Fission means division of one single cell into two. Okay, division of one organisms producing two equal individuals. Clear? Now fission can be of many types. We'll study two over here. One is binary fission and second is multiple fission. Okay, now binary fission means in this method an organism divides and forms two individuals. Here you can see in a picture, this is a picture of amoeba. This is single cell organism, unicellular organism. First what will happen, the nucleus will start dividing and later on the cytoplasm will divide and they will be forming two separate individuals. So this is known as binary fission. Bi means two. Okay, so at last two individuals are formed. Okay, in this method an organism divides and forms two individuals. First the nucleus divides. Okay, you can see here first the nucleus is dividing and then it will be forming two nuclei. You can see here two nuclei are formed. This is one and this is second. Okay, divides and form two nuclei. Then the cytoplasm divides and forms two daughter cells. Now you can see here cytoplasm is also dividing and they will be separated into two daughter cells. Okay, amoeba as well as paramecium will be doing binary fission. Okay, next. Okay, here they have shown leishmania. Okay, it is also one type of unicellular organism which will reproduce by fission. Okay, some unicellular organisms show somewhat more organizations of their bodies. Okay, such as is seen in leishmania, which causes Kala Azar, which have a whip-like structure. You can see here flagella-like structure, whip-like structure. Okay, at one end of the cell, this is one single cell, unicellular, they have a whip-like structure. So division of such organism will occur from here, from the interior portion. Okay, from this whip-like structure, they will be dividing. Okay, in such organisms, binary fission occurs in a definite orientation in relation to this structure. You can see here, division has started and it will go longitudinally and new two daughter cells will be formed. Two leishmania individuals will be formed. So that is through binary fission. Okay, next we have is multiple fission. Now the word itself suggests that multiple means there will be many bifurcations, there will be many divisions. Okay, it usually occurs in plasmodium. This is plasmodium. Okay, cell. It is a method in which one organism divides into many daughter cell. Okay, example is plasmodium, that is a malarial parasite. Now this is a single cell. Okay, this is plasmodium. Now here what will happen, a cyst-like structure, hard covering will be formed outside the body, and this nucleus will keep on dividing and many nuclei will be formed. You can see one single nucleus was turned into many nuclei by multiple fission, by continuous division. Many nuclei will be formed, and when this cyst will break, okay, this nuclei will come outside and they will be performing as, or they will be an individual. One single nuclei will perform as an individual. Okay, cyst breaks and daughter cells are released. Okay, so this is multiple fission. To make it more clear, I would like to show you some video.
Fission is a type of asexual reproduction, where the parent cells divides into two or more daughter cells. There are two types of fission, namely binary fission and multiple fission. Binary fission. Binary fission consists of divisions of the nucleus followed by the division of cytoplasm, producing two cells, each having a daughter nucleus. Most of the unicellular animals prefer this method for reproduction. These organisms reproduce by binary fission, especially when conditions are favorable. That is, adequate amount of food and moisture is available. Binary fission is somewhat similar to mitosis. The mother cell divides into two daughter cells, and each daughter cell begins its life like a new individual. The parent generation ceases to exist after binary fission. Amoeba is a very good example of the organism which reproduces by binary fission. Simple binary fission. When the cytoplasmic division passes through any plane, the fission is called simple binary fission. Example, amoeba. In unicellular organisms like Planaria and Paramecium, the splitting of the cells during division can take place along any plane. This is called transverse binary fission. In Leishmania, binary fission occurs in definite orientation in relation to the whip-like structures located at one end of the cell. This is called longitudinal binary fission. In plants, binary fission can be seen in bacteria, yeast, and euglena. Multiple fission. In multiple fission, the nucleus of the parent cell undergoes repeated divisions to produce many daughter nuclei. The cytoplasm also divides and cleaves around each nucleus, forming several daughter cells in the parent cell. When conditions become unfavorable, that is, food, moisture, proper temperature, etc., are not available, this is the preferred mode of reproduction by unicellular organisms. The organism develops a thick coating around itself. This is called cyst. The cyst helps the organism to tide over the bad phase. The nucleus divides into several nuclei and each daughter nucleus is surrounded by a membrane. All metabolic activities stop in the organism after cyst formation. When favorable conditions return, the cyst dissolves or breaks down, releasing the daughter nuclei. The daughter nuclei, in turn, grow into new individuals. Plasmodium and amoeba undergo cyst stage when they are not in the body of their prime host, that is, humans. In plants, multiple fission is seen in algae.
Okay, further we have fragmentation. Now, it is a type of reproduction, or it is a mode of reproduction in which the body of an organism will be fragmented, will be divided in various parts or various breaks. Okay, and those parts will be forming a new organism. This usually happens in worms and starfishes. Okay, it occurs in multicellular organism when the body of organism will be broken down into two or more parts, and each of which will form a new organism. This form of reproduction is common in marine forms, flatworms, and echinoderms, that is starfish. Okay, now fine, it is divided into fragment and will be living as a new individual. Okay, but this is not true for all multicellular organisms, because you know that multicellular organisms will be having cells, specialized cells, which will be turning into tissues, cluster of tissues or many tissues joins together and will form organs. Organs will be forming organ system and then body. Okay, so for a few multicellular organisms which have specialized organization, for them fragmentation cannot be possible. Okay, this is not true for all multicellular organisms, because specialized cells are organized as tissues, and tissues are organized into organs, which then have to be placed at a definite position in the body. Clear? You can see example over here: planaria, hydra, and starfish divided into parts. It is fragmented into two parts. Okay, the head portion will produce the tail, and the tail will produce the head portion. So from one single individual, two will be formed. Clear? Same in hydra. Okay, so this is known as fragmentation.
Fragmentation. Spirogyra is a multicellular organism in which both sexual and asexual reproduction takes place. During asexual reproduction, on maturation, Spirogyra breaks down into small pieces called as fragments, and each fragment grows as a new individual.
Okay, next we have is regeneration. Regeneration means regrowth of any of the lost part of body, that is known as regeneration. Regeneration occurs when an organism can regrow a lost limb or can grow a whole other organism on a cut off piece. Maybe it will get the lost limb, or if the lost portion has higher number of proliferating cells or reproductive cells in it, then it may develop entire organism from the cutoff piece. Okay, so that is regeneration. This takes time. In fragmentation, it is like the cutoff piece will directly be an individual. Okay, they don't need time to grow. But in regeneration, it's not so that they will be cut and suddenly the tail portion will be developed. No, it takes a long period of time. You might have observed a lizard, right? Many a times due to external factors, okay, they lose their tail. Lizards, okay, usually lizards lose their tail, but that is an organ. Okay, and it takes time to grow. It's not so as soon as it will lose the tail, it will gain the new one. No, it's not so. It takes time to develop the tail region. Okay, this is common in simple multicellular creatures such as worms, sea stars, and geckos. Okay, this is sea star or starfish. Okay, so if the lost limb will be having a good regenerative cells, then it will develop an entire new individual. Otherwise, this lost part will be developed here with time. Okay, we'll see one example. Yes, this is planaria. Many fully differentiated organisms have the ability to give rise to new individual organisms from their body part. They have the ability to give rise to new individual from any of their body parts. Okay, see here they are dividing it into three parts, and each one will be producing the remaining portion. Now head will produce the posterior part, middle will be producing anterior and posterior, tail will be producing upper body. Okay, so from one single organism, three individuals will be formed with help of regeneration. That is, if the individual is somewhat cut or broken up into many pieces, many of these pieces grows into separate individuals, for example, hydra and planaria. Regeneration is carried out by specialized cells. These cells proliferate and make large number of cells. From this mass of cells, different cells undergoes changes to become various cell types and tissues. Clear with regeneration and fragmentation? Here are few differences between fragmentation and regeneration. Usually in exams it is asked mention the difference between regeneration and fragmentation. Okay, so first we'll see few properties, level of organization, time taken, development, and examples of both of them. Okay, level of organization. In fragmentation it is cellular organization, but in regeneration for multicellular they have specialized cell or organization, that is tissue, organ or organ system grade. Clear? Time taken, as I told, fragmentation does not take time. Okay, as soon as it will be broken down, it will live as an independent life. But in regeneration, time is required to develop the lost part, like lizard. Okay, development is not required in fragmentation, but in regeneration required to develop the lost part. It requires time to develop the lost part. Examples: Spirogyra and sponges are example of fragmentation, and Hydra and planaria starfish are example of regeneration. Clear? Fine. Last we have budding. Now budding is usually observed in Hydra. Okay, here what will happen? This is parent body, parent Hydra. Okay, slowly and gradually this parent body will start developing outgrowth over here. Okay, in any of the portion of its body, due to regenerative cells. Okay, it will start developing an outgrowth, and then this outgrowth, this is also known as bud. Okay, now this bud will keep on developing, and after repeated cell division, okay, it will start maturing, it will start growing. Once it is matured, okay, it will detach from the parent body and it will live as an independent individual. Clear? Organisms like Hydra use regenerative cells for reproduction in the process of budding. In Hydra, a bud develops as an outgrowth due to repeated cell division at one specific site. These buds develop into tiny individuals, and when fully mature, detach from the parent body and become new individual. Clear? So this is known as budding. An example is Hydra.
Hydra. Hydra is one of the simplest sedentary multicellular freshwater organism about 1 centimeter long. It has a tubular body with a basal disc for attachment and a free distal or oral end bearing mouth and circlet of tentacles. Hydra reproduces asexually by budding. At the time of asexual reproduction, small buds appear on the body wall. As the bud elongates, a mouth opens at its free anterior end, followed by the development of tentacles at the base of the oral region. The newly developed Hydra detaches from the parent body and fixes on a substratum.
Next we have is a spore formation. Okay, this you all might have observed. Okay, if you keep a bread in your kitchen for 3 to 4 days in a moist place, you will see development of fungus on the bread. Okay, black color structure will be formed on the bread. You will see the thread like structures, those are known as hyphae. Okay, hyphae will again grow more and more, and it will develop tiny bulb like structures on the sticks. Okay, like this, and this bulb like structures would be having spores in it, which will be functioning as reproductive part. Okay, now the thread like structures that developed on the bread are the hyphae of the bread mold, that is rhizopus. They are not reproductive part. This hyphae is not reproductive part. The spores are reproductive part. Okay, on the other hand, the tiny bulb on the stick structures are involved in reproduction. Tiny bulb on the stick like structure, this is stick like structure, on that tiny bulb will be developed. The bulbs are known as spongia, which will contain cells, or you can say spores, that can eventually develop into new rhizopus. Clear? Now the spores are covered by a thick wall that protect them until they come in contact with another moist surface and can begin to grow. This spores will be covered by a thick wall, so that when it will come in contact with any moist surface, at that time the wall will break and they can live as an individual. They will start growing on the place where they have been dropped. Clear? So that is known as spore formation.
Spore formation. It is generally noticed in simple multicellular organisms like Rhizopus. Rhizopus is nothing but a bread mold. When bread is kept under moist, cool condition in dark place. After 2 days, we can notice fungi with thread-like structures called hyphae are developed on bread mold. Hyphae are not reproductive parts, but a blob on a stick-like structures which are called as sporangia are the reproductive cells. It consists of spores which can develop into new rhizopus individual. The spores are covered by thick a wall which protects them in unfavorable conditions until they come to moist condition.
Okay, so next we have is vegetative propagation. It is also one kind of asexual reproduction which is usually happening in higher plants. Okay, those higher plants which otherwise can have the capability to reproduce sexually, but with help of vegetative part of their plant body, they will reproduce a new plant. Okay, so it is known as vegetative propagation. It is a special case as it happens in higher plants which otherwise have the capability to reproduce sexually. When a vegetative part of the flowering plant reproduces a new plant, it is known as vegetative propagation. Okay. Another advantage of vegetative propagation is all the plants produced are genetically similar enough to parent plant to have all its characteristics, because they are produced from the vegetative part of its body, plant body, so they'll be having all genetically similar characteristics because it is having just single parent. Okay, fine. Now basically there are two types of vegetative propagation. One is natural and one is artificial. Okay, plants might produce new individuals from any of the body parts like stem, roots, rhizomes, nodes, and many more. Okay, plants produced by vegetative propagation, it will take very less time to grow and bear flowers and fruits earlier than those produced from the seeds. Okay, when you are sowing a seed and it grows into plant, and then after a few months or few years they will start getting flowers and fruits, right? And then again from it a new individual will be formed. But here in case of vegetative propagation, it takes very less time to grow and bear flowers and fruits, right? The roots of some plants can also give rise to new plants. As I mentioned, sweet potato, dahlia are examples which are arising a new individuals from the roots. Okay, there are two types of vegetative propagation or reproduction: natural vegetative propagation and artificial vegetative propagation. Clear? Now, natural vegetative propagation means naturally it is happening. Okay, we are not doing anything. For example, if you might have observed at your home, okay, if potatoes are there since 10 to 15 days or since a month, okay, and it is not used, then it will start developing eyes on it. Okay, potato will start developing eye spots, eyes on it, and those eyes will be growing into an individual. If you keep it in soil, that single eye can grow into an single potato. Okay, so that is happening naturally. We are not doing anything in it. Okay, if by mistake or if due to some reasons, if any onion is dropped down into soil, okay, then naturally it will start growing and new onions will be formed. Okay, new individuals will be formed. So that is natural vegetative propagation. From any of its vegetative parts like root, stem, leaves, or buds, it will grow into a new individual. Okay, it can grow by leaves. Example is bryophyllum and kalanchoe. You can see this is bryophyllum. Okay, Now from leaf margin, they have bud formation, and this can leave as an individual when it will detach, or it can leave as an individual here itself. Okay, second is by stem, example potato and ginger or onion. Okay, as I told, potato will start developing eyes on it. Okay, and that we can separate here, and we can sow it in the soil, which will be growing into an individual. By roots, sweet potato. Okay, with help of roots also an organism can be developed. Okay, new plants are produced from the vegetative parts like roots, stems, leaves and buds. Example is potato plant will develop eyes, buds on potato. Bryophyllum reproduces from the buds on the leaf margin, and the roots of sweet potatoes give rise to new plants. Now we have artificial propagation. Now in artificial propagation, we are supposed to do few experiments, or we are supposed to do few things with help of which a new individual can be formed, okay, from any of the vegetative part. Okay, now first is cutting. Now cutting is a part of stem, okay, which is cut down, and the cut end grows into new plant when placed in the moist soil. Okay, you are cutting any of the vegetative part of a plant and you are keeping it in soil, and then it will grow. Like if you take example of sugarcane, okay, you can cut it from the node portion. Okay, you cut it in such a manner that node comes in between. Okay, you sow it in the soil, and from that single node new plant will be growing. Okay, so that is cutting. That usually happens in rose, sugarcane, potato and cactus. Even in potato, okay, you cut it down, you put it in soil, it will grow into new individual. Fine, so that is cutting. Second is grafting. Now in grafting, what happens, we are taking combination of two different plants. Okay, mango is one of the famous examples of grafting. You know that two different breeds of mango are grafted and it gives rise to new individual. Okay, will be having characteristics of both the parent. Okay, like if you know kesar mango is an example of grafting. Okay, the stem of a plant is cut and then fitted on the another strong plant and covered with grafting wax. Okay, one plant is having a good number of yields, and second plant is having a resistance to various diseases, or you can say very good taste. When we are grafting two different plants, okay, the offspring that we'll get will have both the characteristics in it. Okay, so it is quite useful. Example, apples, oranges, watermelon, ornamental plants. Okay, third we have is layering. It is usually done in pomegranate. Okay, the stem of a plant is bent down until it touches the soil. Okay, now you know that this is a plant. Okay, if this is a pomegranate, what we will do, we will bend the stem and we will put it in soil. We will cover it with help of soil. Okay, now here it will start developing roots. Once it starts developing root, we will cut it from here. Okay, we'll cut it from middle portion, so they will both be as an individual. Okay, the stem is then cut once it develops roots and grows into a new plant. Example is lemon, rose and jasmine. Clear? Last we have is plant tissue culture. Now in plant tissue culture, what is happening? From any of the part of plant body, we are developing entire plant. Okay, like we are taking simple small portion of leaflet, okay, leaf, and then we are putting it in a agar plate, which is having nutrients in it, which is having few hormones in it, which will help the plant to grow. With help of continuous cell division, okay, that small plantlet will develop a callus like structure. Okay, and that callus we will transferring into the soil, and it will grow into an individual. Okay, plant tissue culture is the science of growing plant cells, tissues or organs isolated from the mother plant on artificial media in under micro conditions, or under, you can say, any laboratory conditions, controlled conditions. You can see your leaf of a plant, a small portion will be cut, it will be kept in agar plate, nutrients will be given to it, hormones will be given to it for proper growth of those cells. Once the callus is formed, callus is growth of undifferentiated cells, okay, with continuous division. A mass of cell will be produced, okay, and that will be transferred to the soil here, okay, and it will live or it will grow as an individual. So that is known as artificial vegetative propagation.
Vegetative reproduction refers to the production of new plants from parts of the mother plant, such as roots, stems, or leaves, without help of any reproductive organ. Potato. There are several buds present on the surface of a potato called eye. A piece of potato with at least one eye on its surface is planted in the soil to develop a new plant. Ginger. In ginger, new plants are produced by some parts of underground stems. Onion. In onion, new plants are produced from the bulb, which is an underground stem with thick leaves. Strawberry. In plants like strawberry, the shoots with the buds bend towards moist land and grows into a new plant. Bryophyllum. The plant of Bryophyllum reproduces with the help of its leaves. A Bryophyllum leaf contains various buds on its margin. When these buds fall on moist soil, they give rise to new plants. Several artificial methods are developed for vegetative reproduction, which are commonly used to grow many plants from one plant. This is referred to as artificial propagation. Some of these methods include grafting, cutting, layering, and tissue culture. In grafting, a twig of one plant called scion is kept over the cut stem of another plant called the stalk. Then they are tied up together. The tissue of the scion and stalk combine to form a new plant. This method helps in developing a high-yielding and disease-resistant species of plants. In cutting, a healthy young branch or stem of the plant having buds is cut off and planted in moist soil. The cutting develops roots and grows into a new plant. In layering, a young healthy branch is bent down towards the ground and covered with moist soil. After some time, roots develop from the covered part. This is called a layer. This branch can now be cut to form a new plant.
The first step of tissue culture is excising or cutting a small part of plant tissue, like the leaf, root, or shoot of a plant. This cut-out part, explant, is then placed in a suitable nutrient medium containing a carbon source such as sucrose, inorganic salts, vitamins, amino acids, and growth regulators like auxins, cytokinins, etc. The explants are allowed to multiply and form a group of tissues called callus. Callus is irregular, unorganized, and undifferentiated mass of actively dividing cells. This callus is then allowed to multiply to form many plantlets, which are then transferred to a different container for rapid multiplication. Finally, the developed plantlets are transplanted to the soil for normal growth. Tissue culture is performed using a small part of a plant to develop a large number of plants in a short duration. It is thus also called as micropropagation.
Clear? We studied today about asexual reproduction, in that 4 to 5 different types through which organisms are doing asexual reproduction, like fission, fragmentation, regeneration, spore formation, budding, natural and artificial vegetative propagation. Okay, I have few questions. Okay, I want you to answer in the comment section. Okay. What is asexual reproduction and explain its types? How will an organism be benefited if it reproduces through spores? Why is vegetative propagation practiced for growing some types of plants? And why is DNA copying an essential part of the process of reproduction? Clear? These are your homework questions. Make sure you do it nicely. Hope you enjoyed the class. Thank you all.